Hello, welcome to this video of Ultra League. We're going to take a look at battles from Scafo, the best European currently. He is using an incredible support Pokemon, and we're going to see what elo he gets to first with this team. Let's take a look. The team we have here is Virizion, Shadow Steelix, a rank 1 as well, and Shadow Ampharos. I think regular Steelix works as well, but Shadow just does better in worse scenarios, such as like Swampert, Registeel, where you only get to one charge attack most of the time and just hit a little bit harder with those. I think regular Steelix, though, does better in its hard counter matchups, such as Giratina and Cresselia. Now, this team is definitely an ABB to Swampert, and that's why the Ampharos is not running Trailblaze, because Steelix is supposed to bait Swampert out. He's actually running Focus Blast and Brutal Swing on Ampharos as the closer. Brutal Swing is kind of necessary to cover the Trevenant better, because Virizion obviously is weak to that. Scafo is also running Leaf Blade for Tapu Fini. It's also more energy efficient than Sacred Sword. I personally prefer Stone Edge, but I think that with Steelix, like Steelix is so weak to Tapu Fini, and like Tapu Fini is probably the worst thing that can answer Steelix here as well. But luckily, Virizion can answer it quite well with the Leaf Blade. Think both Shadow and regular Ampharos can work. Shadow just hits a little bit harder, and especially without Thunder Punch, it just makes that Volt Switch electric typing hit a little bit harder against the likes of like Charizard. Now, let's take a look at the first battle here. The first battle that we have here from Scafo starts really rough for him. He leads his Virizion without Stone Edge into Trevenant, and this is why I like Stone Edge. Stone Edge does like 50% here, or 40%. But even like 2 will almost take out Trevenant. And this is rough for him. He's also answered by a Swampert, which swapped in so fast that it will outpace or get the charge attack priority with the Steelix. So this breaking swipe, like the first Hydra wasn't even debuffed, right? Either way, I think 2 KO the Shadow Steelix anyway. And this is why Scafo prefers Shadow 1. Simply because it just hits a little bit harder in these matchups where you cannot take more than 2 charge attacks. I think regular Steelix definitely does about as well, though. And this makes Steelix a really good support, because now with the debuff, the Hydrocans will do even less on your Virizion, so you're able to farm up more and more. Look at that. You can definitely take 1, maybe 2 if you want to. But looks like Scafo is throwing just right here, probably to stay out of Shadow Ball range against that Trevenant. His other Trevenant answer, the Ampharos is not really an answer even. The Volt Switches are resisted, but you do have super effective Brutal Swing, which will do a good chunk of damage. And I think the Trevenant at this point just goes straight to Seed Bomb. They're actually staying in as well, which is surprising to me. Because that might mean they have something weak to the Ampharos in the back. So just as a Tapu Fini, a Walrein, a Charizard. And with this moveset, it's a little bit iffy. Obviously, the opponent doesn't know that Scafo is running Focus Blast. But like, if it's Tapu Fini, it just takes all the charge attacks quite easily. And on top of that, also, the same as with Charizard, right? Brutal Swing just doesn't hit very hard. Is he going to shield? He is going to shield that. If you can get to this Brutal Swing here, you're pretty gold, but in the back is a Tapu Fini. And look at what Scafo is going to do here. He's not going to throw, because if you review your Focus Blast here, then the opponent just farms down and goes for a Moonblast on your Virizion. So this play is very smart, but man, Scafo needs, I think, like a lot of Leaf Blades to win this battle. I'm not sure if you can at this point. First Leaf Blade coming through, I don't think this KOs yet, and you cannot farm down. But you have to throw before the Moonblast. If this is the Moonblast, then Scafo loses. Let's see. It is only a Surf, however, and this allows Scafo to farm up more. The opponent wants to get their attack off before... Oh, he's actually going for the farm down. Ooh, okay, I see you. Okay. The opponent probably just got a little bit afraid that they just want to get the chip damage in before Scafo knocks them out. So that's why I think they threw that Surf, right? Going for the first Leaf Blade. Oh no, that's not going to do it. However, no. He needed 2 more Leaf Blades. He was very close to winning that very hard counter matchup. So still well played. Very, very rough alignment there, though. The next battle that we have here has an interesting lead, because this shows the strength of Virizion spacing. Virizion wins this matchup pure on pace, and that's because the charge attack here from Virizion is only 9 turns for Virizion to get to, and from a champ, the cheap cross chop takes 10 turns with counter. So double kick actually proving to be slightly better here, because if Virizion had counter as well, it might actually lose this very closely, just because it would lose the charge attack priority to Machamp on the final charge attack. And in this case, you're slightly faster. Now, the opponent is double shooting here, but this matchup, Virizion wins it pretty cleanly. You come out with like 30% HP, as you can see here. Last Leaf Blade will take out this Machamp. Virizion is not even in the yellow yet, so very useful still to take out a potential Swampert. Let's see what comes in. It is an Alola Muck. and Scafo swapping in immediately into that Steelix to bait out a potential Swampert, but instead he's facing the one non-Excel team that we had on our graph, the Wholesome team, which I think is still good, but it definitely struggles with Virizion, and well, Virizion's Steelix score is just really tough. Like a Walrein probably would have been manageable for the opponent, but this is just a lot to deal with, and the opponent is actually running Earthquake on it as well. On the Snorlax, this will do a chunk, but it won't even put Steelix into the red here. It's so bulky, and it looks like the Snorlax will not get to another Earthquake, and the opponent decides to leave because it will not be able to take out. He will not be able to take out that Steelix with the Alolan either, probably. And maybe if he does, like Alolan probably would have to eat an Earthquake and doesn't get anywhere. The next battle is an interesting one. We have Virizion into Obstagoon, and the opponent decides to stay in, so that tells me that there's probably a Swampert in the back. This is as bad as it can get for Obstagoon. This is probably the worst matchup ever. The opponent is staying in, however, throwing an Obstruct. And Scafo probably being very confused. This is definitely not a matchup that you want to stay in. These are sometimes the pre-elo ranks. You see how much that does. The opponent doesn't even get to another. I'm pretty sure they had a Night Slash there, but in comes a Charmer, and Scafo swaps into his Steelix. That's not even a great matchup, to be honest, because you deal Dragon damage and you take Charm damage. Now, you are bulkier, so you have that going. And this is where Steelix is actually good. Right? Going to bait with the Breaking Swipe, the opponent doesn't shield. But it doesn't really matter, because at this point, like, Scald is not as strong as a Hydro Cannon, so this is not even putting the Steelix into the yellow. He does get an attack drop, however. That is what it is. Going for another Breaking Swipe here. This, again, won't do much damage, but it just ensures that you live easier. Look at how little the damage it actually does. This might actually get pretty scary if the opponent just keeps the shield for the Charmer. Look at how little that does now. No debuff this time. I think at this point you kind of want to go Earthquake. Or not throw at all. It's if you don't want to throw a full Earthquake into that. Well, no shields again. Doesn't get to another charge stack, and at this point, I think you start debuffing? If the opponent no-shoots everything, it's just not gonna do a lot. Yeah, this just doesn't do much. He's gonna go for another one, and this ensures that this Charmer cannot clear its debuff later, because the opponent didn't switch out or anything. No shield again. Going for a Weather Ball now. I highly doubt this KOs at all. You probably can charm. Can you charm down? Yeah, you can charm down, but not before Steelix gets to another Breaking Swipe here. He's just debuffing the whole thing out of this. But I think this is a good showcase of how obnoxious Steelix can be, and that is actually a shield on the Breaking Swipe. Now the Virizion comes in. It has so much energy. Scafo going for the Leaf Blade. Sacred Sword is a good attack, but Leaf Blade is even better. Going for another one of Virizion. Against the triple debuff charms, you likely get to another one here. Yeah, easily. And that's game over. Yeah. The opponent probably just prefers to play on alignment, just letting Obstagoon go there. But yeah, it wasn't exactly ideal. It was also an underleveled Alolan Ninetales. Those are sometimes the pre-elo battles. The next battle features a core break. We lead Virizion into Toxicroak here. Horrible. Virizion probably better here than Steelix, but it looks like Scafo is swapping anyway, just in case it's also paired with a Swampert. It's paired with a Jellicent instead, and this is not really an answer. It's not really an answer. Breaking Swipe doesn't do a lot here, but if you now go for an Earthquake with the Dragons, this will KO, and I think the opponent now needs at least 3 Surfs to take out this Steelix. Surf goes through. It does not even put it into the yellow. Kind of sad, to be honest. And this time, Scafo is not going straight for the Breaking Swipe. I'm not sure if you win this straight Breaking Swipe. I would not be surprised if you do. Look at that. The Jellicent needs another Surf here, but Scafo gets to that Earthquake, and this will KO Jellicent. You flip switch here, which is somewhat big, but man, Toxicroak is difficult for the whole team at times. And actually gets that Dragon Tail down here. That's pretty big. In comes the Toxicroak. You get to the Breaking Swipe here, which is crucial. You need to chip this thing as much as possible. No shield, it doesn't do much damage, but now you can align Ampharos here. You have nice fast attack pressure here. It puts up the shield, makes sense. You want to keep this Ampharos healthy. Pantano Bomba. Funny names. Funny names are funny. Brutal Swing, it is resisted, but the opponent might not know it's Brutal Swing, so they might shield anyway, which they do. I mean, still a respectable chunk. Full Volt Switch coming through, and now it's likely coming down to what's in the back here. It is a Tapu Fini. And this is a little bit tricky for Scafo. He's going for... Ooh. Is that KO? Hold up. This might KO. Yeah, that takes out the Ampharos. That's a very, very tricky play from Scafo there. He may have thrown the game by that, but... Oh, look at that. Hold on. Wow. He gets 2 Leaf Blades before Tapu Fini gets there. And I think the Toxicroak doesn't have a lot of energy either. Right? Doesn't get to the Moonblast there. And I think the Toxicroak needs a Sludge Bomb, that's for sure. Right, with the counters, does that KO? I'm not sure that will KO. Yeah, probably does from here, but Virizion with its space outpaces to this Leaf Blade, and that will take out this Toxicroak. So, yeah, I guess the opponent kind of needed to keep the Toxicroak, right? They needed to swap out of that, the Toxicroak, but man, if they brought Tapu Fini into the Steelix, that would have been a whole different game there. This game shows a Pokemon that I really love, which is the Drapion. Now, one thing I do want to tell you here is that you might want to stay in with the Virizion for a little bit because it might run Aqua Tail Crunch, which shows the matchup below here. Now, if it has Sludge Bomb, you do lose it, so keep that in mind. Scafo draws out the Poliwrath here, which is actually a Pokemon that Ampharos would like to see. So that's not ideal, really, right? You want to bait out the Swampert and not a Poliwrath because, yeah, you have two Pokemon that are pretty good there. Going for a big debuff, though. This Poliwrath is likely to run Ice Punch as well, so Virizion does take super effective damage here. Wait, does he even get the farm now? Wait, look at Steelix, actually pretty wicked there. Look at how low it actually gets this Poliwrath. That's crazy. That is the Ice Punch indeed. Going for a massive farm down on this Poliwrath now with the Virizion. I really like this play. The Shadow Drapion is like not very bulky. It's like the perfect bulk, but not to take 3 Sacred Swords from a Virizion. You can take this Ice Punch easily over any Sludge Bomb from Drapion, which is the question if it really has. A lot of people run Sludge Bomb, but in comes a Venusaur, and this is a core breaker. This is a big core breaker. He doesn't have Stone Edge either. So Venusaur is going to take all these Sacred Swords, all his energy easily. What do? Do you go into the Ampharos after that? Ampharos would have to clean up 2 Pokemon here. It doesn't even have a good matchup here against Venusaur. Venusaur is also already, I think, at a Frenzy Plant now, so how much longer is this Virizion gonna stay? But look at how low it's getting, though. The problem is you don't have anything to farm this down with, and another Sacred Sword comes in here, as this Venusaur does build up way more energy. You also don't have Thunder Punch on that Ampharos. We finally get a shield now. You get to another Sacred Sword. Looks like this Venusaur is fed up with this Virizion. But the Ampharos is definitely going to take a frenzy here at least. Well, you have to shield one, obviously. If you can get shields down, maybe you can focus blast the Drapion. Ooh, is he going to try and farm down? I don't think you can here, no? Frenzy coming in. I mean, this obviously would do so much damage. Oh, he tried to go for the farm down, but the Venusaur gets there at the very last second. I think this takes out the Ampharos, unfortunately, yeah. That's just a tough matchup. Venusaur is a core breaker to Virizion and Ampharos here, so tough lineup for Scafo. Next battle features another core breaker into a shiny Deoxys, and Steelix is actually quite good here because it resists all the charge attacks that Deoxys can throw here. So once a Psycho Boost has been thrown here, you could even go into the Steelix. Let's see what the opponent throws. It is a Psycho Boost. And now this matchup is okay for Virizion, to be honest. This is actually not the worst at all, just because Deoxys has to debuff itself or throw resisted charge attacks. And counters are not the same type of attack bonus, so they don't hit as hard. None of Leaf Blade. I mean, Deoxys is also so tanky. I think, however, at some point you kind of have to swap out of this matchup as Virizion, just because you need to bait out Swampert. And he does catch it, actually. The opponent, very clever timing here from Scafo. He waits a turn, so the opponent throws a counter and times their move well. And then swaps to catch that attack there on the Steelix. Now, this is not great for Steelix, but I believe you win the 0 shield, so you will live this drill run. But then you need to get to that Earthquake here. Do you get there? You need... Ooh, goes for the Breaking Swipe debuff. Interesting. Okay, gets the debuff, actually. The opponent is farming up so much more energy. This is annoying for the Virizion as well, right? Because you have to tank that that energy there. And that Ice Punch does KO. Pretty sure they have another one. Scafo actually could have thrown immediately there, but the opponent didn't throw immediately. Right, it's a little bit tricky sometimes, because he knows he loses a charge attack pretty, so that's why he went for another double kick. But the opponent didn't throw immediately as well. Going for a Sacred Sword here. That will take out the Sand Slash. What's in the back? Probably the Deoxys coming back in, which cleared its debuff, so it can throw Psycho Boosts again now. Leaf Blade coming in doesn't threaten as much yet. Do you outpace here? You do, actually. That's actually pretty big. Depending on what's in the back, however. We've seen a Lone Sanchez, likely something like a double, maybe? Maybe their own Steelix or something? Something that the Ampharos might be able to focus blast. Let's see. Psycho Boost coming in, the Deoxys is probably swapping out, and in the back is indeed a Steelix. Now, it is also Shadow, but it will also outpace to a Breaking Swipe here, if it is afraid of it. But it's going for the Earthquake, looks like. Does this one-shot? I don't think it does. I don't think this one-shots. Okay, no, he still gets a Psycho Boost. I don't think this KOs, though. I think this barely doesn't KO. Oh my goodness, what a game. Man, it actually one-shot it. If that was regular Steelix, 100% it would have lived it, because Registeel also lives it from full HP. The next battle, Virizion into Golispot. Now, if you see my previous video, you might know how this matchup goes. This is not bad for Golispot. And it looks like he's swapping immediately into Steelix to bait out this Cobalion, which is not a great matchup. It's definitely not a great matchup, but this Cobalion might shield. However, it actually outpaces. Does this Sacred Sword KO here? I don't think it does. I think you barely do. If does the Earthquake one-shot here? That's the question. Earthquake has been nerfed. Look at that bulk from Steelix, barely living that. Does this KO? I want to know. Oh no! You don't even get farm here! Okay, well, now we know. Thanks, Scuff. Now we know. That was not... Oh my god, lives at 1 HP. The Earthquake nerf actually coming in clutch there for the Cobalion. Back comes the Golispot. Now, this really makes me wonder what's in the back here. Because this is not a great matchup for Golispot. Actually, a bold no-shoot there. If it's Thunder Punch, that would have put the Golispot very, very low. Let's see, that is that's an aerial ace. The opponent threw an aerial ace there. Not even an Axis or liquidation. Scafo is not respecting the next attack. That is also an aerial ace. And in the back is a Charizard. This is not exactly over yet. Because this Golispot put in so much work that this Ampharos is getting into Dragon Claw range. And Dragon Claw comes out very quickly. You need to get a lot of chip here. Look at that Volt Switch sneaking in. Very bad timing from the opponent there. Thinking they will get the charge stack priority, but they didn't. Now you don't have shields though. You do have 2 charge stacks here. This might actually win you the battle. But I think you cannot get another Volt Switch in because... Yeah, because otherwise the Charizard gets another Dragon Claw here. It's at the Dragon Claw right now. Scuffle switch maybe? He does not switch, but it doesn't matter. I think at this point you double kick down. So in this battle, the opponent was very weak to Ampharos. They only had the Cobalion, which was drawn out by that Steelix, and Steelix actually, again, being very important. The next battle that we have for Scuffle finally gets a good lead in the Steelix, and the opponent switches in Golisopod right away. He has a pretty decent answer here, but Golisopod is not a Pokemon to underestimate because its charge attack and the combination with Shadow Claw is just so good. That is actually a liquidation. If this debuffs, I think the opponent could actually Shadow Claw down. Now I'm not sure though. Ampharos is not the bulky, so the Shadow Claws will add up. But I'm not sure if you can actually flip this as the Golispot. Looks like the opponent is not going to try, but they will go for a shield advantage here. Does Scaffa do that? Yeah. He wants his version on Steelix. That makes perfect sense. And that is the X-Scissor. I highly doubt that you live 2 Dragon Tails there, so you probably don't get to the Focus Blast. Yeah, you don't. Scaffa did try, but unsuccessfully. However, now the clock is not up yet, so Scaffa can throw a Sacred Sword here on the charge stack priority with the Breaking Swipe. So you throw this before the debuff even. That's also a Shadow Steelix. You guys all have too much dust or something? And in the back is... Oh no! It's the Core Breaker! That one Pokemon you don't want to see here. Oh no, this is terrible for Scuffle. What a team composition. That's really weak to a Swampert lead. Guess that's why they have the Golisopod, but man. This is really not what you want to see. That is the Pantana Bomba, which is the Mud Bomb. The Toxrock definitely gets to another one here. And this likely won't KO yet, but I think 2 counts after will. So you cannot time your Dragon Tail properly here, probably. Oh, you might be able to. Yeah, Scuffle recognizes. It actually did less than I thought it would. Another Break Swipe coming through. Look at how much work this is actually putting in and then against that Toxrock. Wow. Taking 2 shields while using only 1? I don't know. Oh, and catches the attack. Man, the opponent is not done yet. The opponent is not done. They're cooking. They're cooking. I don't know how much this is going to help, though. On the other hand, though, this Steelix is able to debuff now, so that is what the opponent is going for him. However, Scuffle likely also gets a farm down here because his Breaking Swipe doesn't do a lot. But can you double kick down before you get Dragon Tail down? Yes, you can. Do you have 2 attacks here? You do. But the opponent has a Mud Bomb! These battles have been a roller coaster, I'll say that. And actually have a full Sludge Bomb even. That's very well played from the opponent. Very well played. Clearing the debuff by swapping out, right? Afterwards, but farming up to the Sludge Bomb. Then getting all the chip in with the Steelix. It gave Scuffle hope. But it's unfortunately for him. Honestly though, I'd rather see really close losses than easy RPS matches. Those are just way more exciting. Now, we have another tough lead here for Scuffle. We've seen in my video that Virizion actually can win the 2 shits here, but Scuffle decides to go right into the Steelix to try and draw the Swampert. But the opponent decides to stay in, maybe try to go for a superpower here. And now you gotta shield this. This is one of the best matchups Steelix can have, but the opponent is almost in Sacred Sword range even. This superpower will do quite a chunk of damage. That's actually a Dragon Claw. You really don't want to shield those. And now comes in the Jellicent. We've seen Jellicent before here. It's not even the best Steelix answer as a water type, especially when the Steelix starts debuffing just right away. I think 2 Surfs will not be enough here. Let's see if I'm right. Maybe with the Hex they might be. I think barely not. Ugh. Yeah, after this Breaking Swipe though, I'm definitely correct. Thank you, Scuffle. Anyway, Breaking Swipe coming through. Scuffle at this point just wants to chip this as much as possible. And perhaps get a big farm down. And this serve will likely barely not take out. And then you get to another Breaking Swipe, but that will also not take out the Jettison. So you might be able to just get a big farm down on the Virizion. Oh, he keeps the Breaking Swipe, actually goes into that Virizion right away to get an energy lead. Whatever this is, this will do nothing. Yeah, that does not do a lot. And you can start up farming up so much here to later deal with that Dragonite. Now, I did mention earlier that Virizion can win Dragonite, but that's with Stone Edge. This Virizion does not have Stone Edge, so in comes that Dragonite, but since it took so many Dragon Tails already, like a Sacred Sword will get really close to killing it. I don't think it kills yet. Yeah, it gets really close. One more double kick, takes out this Dragonite, and in the back is a Samurott. That's not a very common Pokemon. Not really Registeel proof, this team, or Steelix for that matter. But yeah, the Team Scuffle definitely is waterproof, so yeah. I don't think that Samurott even has a great matchup against Steelix because the fewer colors are resisted, and like they just do nothing on Steelix. Opponent timing their Hydro Cannon very well. Scuffle knows they have 2 Hydro Cannons here. There's no point in shielding Hydro coming in. And then you just have... Oh, he's going for the Breaking Swipe, actually. Does not want to reveal his last Pokemon. Makes sense. I'm not sure if this will KO. Breaking Swipe is not super strong. It does KO because Samurott is quite fragile as well. Well played. The final battle that we have here is Virizion lead into Jellicent lead. And with Leaf Blade is actually a pretty good matchup. As you see down below here. The Leaf Blade does about 40%. And I think over time... with the double kicks adding up, 2 Leaf Blades actually might just finish off this Jellicent. And if not, like, look how much damage it already does there. So yeah, Scuffle probably okay with seeing this there, but at some point you kind of want to draw the Steelix counter, so it's not ideal just yet. Going for another Leaf Blade here. You have 2 Leaf Blades before this Jellicent can even get to its second Shadow Ball there. But yeah, you barely live that. Now go for Sacred Sword. I love this play, because if they catch it on something else, they actually catch Sacred Sword. They actually do shield that. I think at this point, if you shield this... Oh, there wasn't even a charge stack priority. If you do shield it, you get the full farm down here. It is the Shadow Ball that they throw. Let's see if they accept that farm. That they don't. But this is not an easy Pokemon to get through. However, you still have the Virizion, so the Virizion still is fine there. What I'm worried about for Scuffle here is that there's possibly something like a Registeel in the back. Let's see what he's going to do here. Opponent throws the Sacred Sword. And he's actually deciding to shield that. That makes sense. You want to get this attack off to threaten that last shield. But can you get to another one if they shield this? I don't think you do. Yeah, oh, they let it go, actually. What's going on? He's going into the Steelix right away. I don't exactly agree with that per se, but let's see first what's coming in. In the back is a Heliolisk. Yeah, if there's any Home Slice Henry fans here, you're about to see this Pokemon get absolutely demolished by Virizion and Steelix. I definitely think it's overhyped. But yeah. It's there, and it's gonna do things. It has specifically good matchups. It also wins like Swampert in the 0s and the 1s with Grass Knot, which it does have here. But you see how little that does, and Heliolisk is just fragile. Virizion basically just slayed that team. Like, the opponent didn't really have anything there. And after all these well-fought battles, this is actually the elo that Scuffle got at, which is really good. Scuffle is one of the best battlers in the world, and we'll see more battles from him in the future, probably to his on his run to Legends rank. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one. Bye.